Hi everybody, it's Onyx here, and today I am bringing you part 1 of What If Deku was trained by Goku. As before we actually do start this video, I would like to bring up some announcements. We have a Patreon that I recently just set up and it's now live, which you guys can actually force me to make what ifs, or force me to make you a thumbnail, or exclusively upload it to that Patreon page. And also, if you guys would like to see my videos really early, 2 days early to be exact, you guys can donate to that page and actually support the channel and actually help me put more money into my content and try and make it as best as possible as I can. But if you guys actually don't want to show your support that way, that's completely fine. I am not forcing you to donate. If you guys want to donate, it's your own free will. And if you guys would actually want to show your support a different way, you guys can actually hit the subscribe button down below and actually help me to know you guys actually like my content and motivate me even more to actually upload these videos. As for if you guys would like a part 2, I set an actual like goal on my Discord server of what you guys might want the like goal to be, and one of you actually put 400 likes for some weird reason. I have no idea why, but if you guys would hit that, that'd be highly appreciated and you'll get part 2 as fast as possible. And without further ado, I'll let you guys enjoy it. We're going to begin with our point of view of Izuku Midoriya and his training with All Might halfway through his actual training, which would be actually on the 5th month of Izuku's training for his UA entrance exam, so in retrospect he's halfway. "Come on Midoriya, we're burning sunlight," All Might said. As Izuku said, "You try and lift all this trash with barely any strength or even a quirk," Izuku said. As All Might just debuffed and joined in on the fun, Izuku started to tease the old man on how he actually couldn't lift it at all, just like what he was doing. All Might was actually struggling to try and lift up a fridge. All Might realized how weakened he was actually in his weakened state. So All Might actually had the brilliant idea to actually start training with Izuku these coupling months so he can actually get up his strength in his base form. This would have worked in All Might's favor. As a month went by, All Might would have took a bit of muscle onto his skinny form once more, and Izuku getting a little bit more toned thanks to his extra training at home. Izuku and All Might both trained with each other as sparring hand-to-hand combat, and Izuku learning how to actually use his legs during combat as well, instead of just copying All Might and being a brawler. Through these couple of weeks, Izuku's trained his body to the point it's broken, with his legs giving up on him, his arms shattering mid-fight, All Might breaking his arms and legs during his every single smashing humongous punch. One day, All Might went a little bit too far and knocked Izuku clean unconscious. All Might was really worried at this point, thinking he might have gone overboard. Izuku, however, was knocked into a little comatose state. No one knew how long he was going to stay like that. All Might didn't know. He's a novice at this stuff. All Might instantly picked up Izuku, went 100% and ran straight to the hospital where Recovery Girl was stationed at this very moment. All Might arrived, his face in a panic, his blood rushing through his veins like a speeding torpedo, as All Might instantly put him down onto a bed next to Recovery Girl's office. "Recovery Girl, please, help him," All Might said, panting like mad. As Recovery Girl did a diagnosis on little Izuku, noticing that he just had a fractured skull and he was unconscious. "Other words, he's in a coma," Recovery Girl said. "So how long will he be in there for?" All Might said. "I don't know, but it seems to be that he's actually been knocked unconscious for quite a while. I would say it'll take around about a month to 2 months to come back out," Recovery Girl said, as All Might actually got worried at this, thinking his successor might be a vegetable or something of the other. Please don't take offense to that, I know it sounds offensive. As All Might instantly was sulking like mad as Recovery Girl caught on to this, as she would have just said, "Toshinori, what did you do?" she said, raising her cane ready to hit him. As All Might waved his hands right in front of his face, getting prepared to actually try and talk to Recovery Girl to try and calm her down. This, however, did not exceed, as she smacked him over the head, giving him a tiny concussion, this making All Might say everything that was on his mind at that very moment. "I didn't mean to hit him that hard. I thought he was gonna block it," All Might said, as she just got hit again with the cane of Recovery Girl's mighty blows, as bruises started to form on All Might's body with all the blood rushing to that effective spot, as Recovery Girl stopped beating him and said, "If this kid doesn't come out the coma, Toshinori, you're going to give that quirk to him no matter what you do." Recovery Girl said, "Wait, how the hell did you—" "I know everything, Toshinori. You bring him here once every week," she said with a death glare to him. "Oh, you have to tell his parents about this," Recovery Girl said, sighing. "What is his parents gonna think when he sees him like this? Actually, Izuku only lives with his mom. His dad actually left," All Might said, as we cut to Izuku in his mindscape in his dream, as Izuku was flying around in the vast nothingness of his own mind, as a little flash of light appeared out of nowhere. Izuku decided to actually go near it because it was the only bright thing around it, as the bright light started to go further away from Izuku, as Izuku tried to get further and further to the bright light, says the bright light just started to dissipate, as Izuku started to say, where the hell am I?" Izuku said, as the bright light from before actually created a big boom, creating a big bang type of thing, as something appeared right in front of Izuku's eyes, this being a celestial being, as this celestial being just stared at Izuku with no intent at all. Izuku started to try and ask it a question, but it just ignored him. Izuku tried to talk back to him, but he had no response. Izuku was confused at this, wondering why the hell this person or thing, whatever it would be, that's annoying him, as Izuku started to wave his hands in front of him, thinking he was blind or even deaf. As he got no response, Izuku went to touch him. However, he had a giant electric shock shoot through his entire body. Izuku felt his body quiver and shake from the amount of pressure this guy was just setting off just from a slight tap of his finger touching the guy, as the man started to speak one single word. "Izuku Midoriya," the man said, or the celestial being, as Izuku replied saying, "Yes, what is it?" Izuku said, "I will grant you one wish, or I will send you to a different world so you could get stronger," he said. "Would you accept my request?" As Izuku was deep in thought, as he started to do one simple question. "What would happen if I refused?" Izuku said. "You would be stuck here for the rest of your natural life," the man celestial being said. As Izuku was actually thinking on this, he could either get a wish, or he could technically get stronger. Izuku wants to get stronger so he could actually protect his family. He didn't want anything technically except from that. Izuku was planning to actually wish for it, but if he said it, he could end up getting to the same thing. So he did the rational option and went for the request area, so he can be transported to somewhere really strong so he can train with strong opponents and become stronger himself. As a bright light started to surround Izuku's unconscious body and Izuku himself, as Izuku started to feel a lot more stranger and stranger as his atoms started to disappear like he was being snapped by Thanos' glove. The moment Izuku started to dissipate in the actual real world, Recovery Girl looked over at Izuku, seeing his body turn into ash. Recovery Girl tried to save him, but she couldn't do much, so she just let it fade away. She tried though, at least that's what she said. Mentally, of course, but she was still a little bit sad, almost thinking she's killed All Might's successor. As we cut back to Izuku's point of view, Izuku's body started to actually regain and reform. The only thing Izuku saw was pure blackness as his eyes started to come back to him, seeing his surroundings as Izuku just passed out from the amount of strain and shock his body just endured, having his nerves stitched back together piece by piece, atom by atom. Izuku actually came to as he was on the grass. He felt like he was sick, and Izuku started to actually manage to regain himself and managed to actually crawl himself all the way to his feet. Izuku, being the confused 14-year-old, Izuku tried to wander around to see where he was so he could actually get a rough understanding. To his prevail, he knew he was in Japan, but he didn't know where he was exactly. So Izuku started to walk around more and more and more until he came across a little house that he found on the side of nowhere. It looked like it was kind of like a little homey farm. Izuku walked over to it and knocked on the door 3 times, as a woman with little blackish purplish hair came out and opened the door. "Hello, who is it?" this person said as she opened the door to see a green-haired boy with little freckles on the side of his face. As this woman would have said, "So, can I help you?" she said. Yes, could I please ask you where I am, please?" Izuku said. As this woman replied saying, "Well, you're in the East District of Japan," she said. I know that's not the exact area, but yeah, it's there. As Izuku would have just said his thank yous, as Izuku would have just replied saying, "Excuse me, but is there any place called Tokyo?" Izuku said as Chi-Chi was just face palming. "There's no such thing here, kid," she said. As Izuku just bowed his head saying, "Sorry for wasting your time," as he just walked off. A couple hours later, Izuku managed to actually find a giant farm that he found on the east side district of the actual Dragon Ball Japan. Izuku walked over to it to see a bunch of crops growing out of the ground. Izuku actually just sat down there, thinking he needs to catch his breath for a second. He's been walking around for 5 to 2 hours now, and he hasn't had a break since he started walking from Chi-Chi's house, or Goku's house if you guys would like to put it like that. Izuku sat there for God knows how long. He lost track that he fell asleep. 25 minutes later, in our time of course, Izuku was awakened by a giant tractor noise. Izuku looked over to see a guy with little spiky black hair and in a farmer's jacket and pants in a tractor. Izuku walked over to it trying to get the guy's attention, as Goku actually managed to stop the machine, turning around to the little boy with green hair. "Hi kid, you lost?" Goku said. As Izuku just looked at him confused, saying, "Excuse me, but is this your farm?" "Yes, it is. What's up?" he said in a very cheerful tone. "I'm just wondering, can I may grab something to eat from one of your crops, please?" Izuku said, as Goku just says, "Go right ahead, kid," Goku said, as Goku actually managed to pull Izuku aside and managed to pull up a crop from the ground, pulling out a giant ass carrot, believe it or not. As Izuku chowed down on it like there was no tomorrow, it seemed like he was extremely hungry. As Goku just decided to go get him a bottle of water or just a little cup that he found from the bottom of the earth or made with his ki. As Goku gave him a little bowl of water, as Izuku bowed his head saying, "I may pretty much say thank you, Goku-sama," Izuku said, as Goku just smiled and pat Izuku on the head. "So, what are you doing here, champ?" Goku said, trying to make small talk with him. As Izuku explained how he got here, as Goku's face sweat dropped. Wait, what? You met Zen, the Grand Priest?" Goku said in a very shocked tone. "Yeah, is something wrong with that?" "Yeah, there's something wrong with that. You've just met the head angel," Goku said with a shocked expression. In this timeline, Goku's a little bit smarter because he's not that dumb. He knows when to shut up. As Goku explained to him who the Grand Priest was and who he really is. As Izuku's face sweat dropped, thinking he actually talked to a high-ranking angel. As Izuku actually just sat there trying to figure out all his thoughts, thinking how he was going to get home. "Don't worry about it, Izuku," Hey, you wanna see something cool then? As Goku started to shout, "Ah!" Goku shouted, turning into Super Saiyan 1. As Izuku's eyes opened with glee, Izuku's entire soul felt like it was being cleansed with something that was unnatural. Izuku's more or less pressure around his body increased, thinking he was being crushed as Goku instantly turned off his Super Saiyan, being greeted with a passing out Izuku. "Izuku?" Goku said, rushing over to him at supersonic speed, catching him, as Goku just decided to actually take him back to his place with Chi-Chi, noticing it was the same kid a couple of hours ago, as Goku explained to her what was happening and who he was, as Chi-Chi just decided to leave him on their bed. Hours later, Izuku woke up to Goku's face, as Izuku just decided to have small talk with him for a little bit, or just having a normal conversation, as Izuku finally popped the question asking him if he could actually train him. As this is where we're going to leave the video off today, guys. I do hope you entirely enjoyed this video. I do apologize for the delay. This video was actually meant to be coming out yesterday, but I accidentally delayed it because of family issues. For people who actually stayed for the outro, could you guys in the premiere actually spam 1 in the chat? And don't stop please until this premiere has been over. I'd like to thank you all for actually subscribing to the channel and joining the Discord. This week's shout out actually goes to Ace Hayase. Thank you very much for joining the Discord server and subscribing to the channel with notifications on. And if you guys would actually like to be the next subscriber or Discord shout out of the channel, try and join the Discord server that is linked down in the description down below. And I'd like to thank you guys for indulging yourself in my content. And I'll see you all later. Peace out.